The moment Ivan melted into the eastward shadows of the ravine, an almost unbearable silence descended upon our small alcove, broken only by Dimitri's labored breathing and the distant, menacing rumble of German armor overhead. Each second stretched into an eternity. My own anxiety was a cold knot in my stomach, tighter than any hunger pang. Our hopes, frail as they were, now traveled with that lone Siberian hunter.
Ivan moved with a predator's grace, a phantom in the snow. He kept to the deepest shadows, clinging to the northern wall of the ravine, the very side Pyotr had indicated for the culvert. He moved slowly, deliberately, each footfall tested before he committed his weight. Loose stones, a snapped twig, any unnatural sound could bring death raining down from the rim above, where unseen German sentries might be listening, watching. The air was frigid, burning his lungs with each careful breath, but his focus was absolute.
He passed the spot where I had tumbled, where my PPSH lay lost beneath the snow, a bitter reminder of my own vulnerability. He spared it no glance. His mission was singular. The memories of the recent firefight, the ghosts of fallen comrades, were pushed aside. Only the present mattered, the next patch of shadow, the next silent step. The German patrol that had passed us earlier had continued west, but Ivan knew there could be others, or those same men could double back. The Panzers and Tigers still growled intermittently above, their engines a constant oppressive thrum in the frozen earth. He could feel their vibrations through the soles of my Valenki. He reached the area Pyotr had described, a slight bend, a jumble of older rockfall, and a dense thicket of frozen skeletal bushes clinging to the ravine wall. If the culvert existed, it was here, concealed by nature and neglect. Ivan crouched low, his dark eyes scanning every inch of the shadowed rock face. He listened intently, not just for Germans, but for the subtle sounds of wind whistling through an opening, or the drip of water that might indicate a hollow space beyond. For a moment, his heart sank. Nothing, just solid rock, snow, and thorny undergrowth. Had Pyotr been mistaken, delirious from the fall? The thought was a cold stab of despair. Then he saw it. A faint depression in the snow at the base of the rock face, almost perfectly circular, half hidden by a particularly dense cluster of hawthorn. It wasn't natural. He moved closer, parting the brittle, snow-covered branches with infinite care. And there it was, a dark opening, a concrete pipe perhaps half a meter in diameter, its entrance choked with debris, old leaves, and a drift of newer snow. It was undeniably a culvert. Relief, sharp and potent, warred with caution. It was small, terribly small. Could a man, burdened with equipment, squeeze through? Especially a wounded man like Dimitri. Ivan lay flat on his belly, the frozen ground chilling him through his layers. He peered into the black maw. The air emanating from it was damp, earthy, and colder still. He couldn't see far. It curved slightly after a meter or two, disappearing into utter blackness. He listened. No sound of running water, just a faint, almost inaudible sigh, like the earth itself breathing. He had to know more. Leaving his rifle propped carefully against the rock, he began to clear the entrance, working with his gloved hands, pulling away handfuls of frozen leaves, twigs and packed snow. The debris was old, undisturbed for a long time. That was a good sign. It meant it likely wasn't regularly checked by the Germans. The opening cleared. He took a deep breath and began to wriggle inside, head first. The concrete was rough, scraping against his telogreika. It was a painfully tight squeeze, his broad shoulders brushing both sides. The smell of damp earth, mildew, and something else, faint but animalistic, filled his nostrils. Rats, perhaps. He pushed forward. Darkness enveloped him completely. He moved by feel, his hands encountering more debris, loose stones, hardened mud. The pipe seemed to descend slightly. He continued, inch by agonizing inch, the rough concrete abrading his elbows and knees. It was claustrophobic, a premature burial. What if it was blocked further in? What if it narrowed even more? After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 10 or 15 meters, he felt a subtle change in the air. A faint draft, fresher, carrying the scent of pine needles and open space. And then a glimmer of light ahead. Faint, gray, but undeniably light. He pushed forward with renewed urgency, the hope of an exit propelling him. The light grew stronger. He could see the end of the pipe now, another opening, also partially obscured by overgrown vegetation on the other side. He reached it, cautiously poking his head out. He found himself on a steep, wooded slope, much like the one leading down into the ravine, but on the other side of whatever road or track the tanks were using. The culvert had indeed passed beneath it. He was north of the ravine now. The trees here were dense, offering good cover. He could still hear the tanks, but they sounded slightly more muffled, further away. He scanned the area. No immediate sign of German patrols, no obvious guard posts. It seemed quiet, too quiet. He knew he couldn't linger. Every moment spent away increased the risk to the others and to himself. He backed out of the culvert, the return journey just as arduous, scraping and wriggling his way back into the oppressive darkness of the pipe. Meanwhile, in our alcove, the waiting was a torment. Dimitri had drifted into a fitful, feverish sleep, muttering unintelligibly. Pyotr watched him with growing alarm, occasionally wiping the boy's brow with a scrap of relatively clean cloth. Vasily sat like a stone sentinel, his gaze fixed on the bend Ivan had disappeared around, the DP-28 ready. I paced the tiny confines of our shelter, 3 steps one way, 3 steps back, my useless Tokarev heavy in my hand. Every distant shout, every revving engine from above, sent my heart leaping into my throat. "He should be back by now," Vasily finally rumbled, his voice tight. It was what I was thinking, what we were all thinking. Had something happened? Had he been caught? "Give him time, Vasily," I said, more to reassure myself than him. "Ivan knows what he's doing. He's the best." But doubt, cold and sharp, pricked at me. Pyotr suddenly looked up. "Sergeant, Dimitri is hotter. His breathing is more shallow." I knelt beside the boy. His skin was burning to the touch. Infection was setting in, faster than we'd hoped. That culvert wasn't just a hope anymore. It was a necessity, a death sentence if it failed. Just as the tendrils of despair began to coil around my heart, a shadow detached itself from the deeper darkness at the bend. Ivan. He moved with the same impossible silence, but there was an urgency in his stride now. He reached us, his face grim in the dim light, his breath pluming. He was covered in dirt, scrapes on his face, his greatcoat torn at the elbow. "Well?" I demanded, my voice a harsh whisper. "Report, Ivan." He knelt, taking a moment to catch his breath. The three of us leaned in, desperate for his words. Ivan looked from me to Vasily, then his gaze lingered for a moment on the feverish Dimitri. "It is there, Sergeant," his voice low and gravelly. "The culvert. It passes under the German trackway." A collective sigh of relief, so profound it was almost a gasp, escaped us. But Ivan wasn't finished. His expression remained serious. "It is tight, very tight, barely wide enough for one man, choked with debris in places. It exits onto a wooded slope on the north side, concealed. No immediate sign of Germans there." He paused, and the hope that had flared in me flickered. "But?" I prompted. "But," Ivan continued, "getting Dimitri through, it will be difficult, slow. We will be exposed at both ends during entry and exit. And the pipe itself, if he cries out, if he struggles." He didn't need to finish. A bottleneck, a potential trap within a trap. "And one more thing," Ivan added, his eyes meeting mine, holding a new, deeper concern. "While I was on the north slope, very faint, carried on the wind from the west, I heard dogs, barking, not wolves, German dogs." Dogs, trackers. My blood ran cold. If they brought dogs to the ravine, our faint tracks, our scent, would lead them straight to us, or to the culvert entrance. The Shadow's path had been found, but it was a path lined with new, sharper teeth, and time, our most precious commodity, was bleeding away as fast as the life from Dimitri's young body.